We're joined now by United Auto Workers President Shawn Fain, who is in Detroit this morning. Mr. Fain, thank you for being with us. I wanted to start by asking you, President Biden stepped out of this race on July 21st, and your union endorsed the vice president 10 days later. What did she actually do to earn your endorsement?
Hey, thanks for having us, Ed. Well, I mean, many things. It's the body of work, and it's one thing we do as a union. You know, we put the membership in charge, and, you know, we listen to our members, we listen to our reps all over the country, and then we take that and move forward. But the thing we've done most of all in any election is we look at the body of work between the candidates. And when you put Kamala Harris and Donald Trump side by side, there's a very telling difference in who stands with working class people and who left working class people behind. You know, you go back to 2019 when Donald Trump was president. GM workers were on strike for 40 days. Where was Donald Trump then? What did he do or what did he say about these striking workers? You want me to know what he did? He did nothing. He said nothing. Kamala Harris, she was actually out on the picket line before it was a popular thing to do. She stood shoulder to shoulder with striking workers to say, I got your back. You know, and you go further, Lordstown, Ohio, multiple plants closed in this country when Donald Trump was president. Donald Trump told workers in Lordstown Assembly in Ohio, don't sell your houses. You want to know what he did and what he said afterwards to help change that situation? He did nothing. Workers in Lordstown got sent all over this country to GM plants, and their lives were wrecked. And you want to know what Kamala Harris and the Biden administration did and their team did? They went to work when they took over the White House, and they actually put a path forward. They located a new battery plant in Lordstown, Ohio. And now, under Harris and under Biden, those workers are moving back home now. They were dislocated under Trump. So, you know, Trump's been all talk for working class people. You look at inflation. One of the biggest issues facing this country is inflation. Yeah. It's not policy driven. It's driven by corporate greed and consumer price gouging. And that's what Donald Trump stands for. The rich get richer and the working class get left behind.
Does the fact that she is now even with Trump, both nationally and in the automaking state of Michigan, eliminate your union's concerns about Democrats' ability to win in November?
Look, we believe Democrats are going to win, and I tell you, obviously, when Kamala Harris became the candidate, I mean, there's a new energy around the campaign. There's new passion. We're hearing from people that we weren't hearing from before, and there's a reason why, because they see a difference now. They see a path forward, and they see that we can have a better life than what we had under Trump. We don't want to go backwards. And I believe we're going to win Michigan, but we can't just look at polling and say, hey, the polling's changed, it's getting better. We got this. We got to keep the pedal to the metal until the end of this thing and ensure it happens, and it's going to happen.
And you know that this weekend she, of course, is trying to sort out who should be her running mate. There are believed to be at least 6 in the mix. 4 governors, a senator, and a cabinet secretary. And of those 6, give us a sense. Who's your favorite? Who would be the best for organized labor?
Well, I mean, you know, we've really broken down these candidates, really looked at them, and I'll tell you, my favorite's Andy Beshear from Kentucky. I mean, the man stood with us, you know, on the picket line. He's been there for workers throughout every bit of our walk, you know, he's won in a state where Mitch McConnell's from. I mean, it's been a red state traditionally, and he's won twice there. And I just believe he brings a huge dynamic, and I believe a Harris and Beshear ticket would be unbeatable. I believe both of them would just be such dynamic candidates. But we really like Tim Walz from Minnesota also. Think he's an awesome guy for labor, 100% behind labor. And those would be our top 2 if we had to pick any. But ultimately, look, I mean, Vice President Harris has to pick who she's most comfortable with, you know, because it's her running mate and it's who she's going to be serving with. So, you know, that's who we believe would be best for labor and for working class people. But you know, that's her decision.
You didn't mention the Pennsylvania Governor, Josh Shapiro. I know he has been supportive of private school vouchers, which is not something that teachers' unions are a fan of, understandably. Are there any other union issues in his history?
That's a struggle, yeah.
Well, are there any other union issues in his history?
I mean, I just, you know, one of the bigger ones is the school vouchers, obviously. And I mean, you know, I don't believe that, public education should be, it's been under attack under the Republican administrations forever. And, you know, but they want to pass vouchers so that the rich people can subsidize their kids' educations, and then the working class kids can get excluded because there's no guarantee we can go to those schools. But that's one of the bigger issues we see with Shapiro.
And Mark Kelly, this Arizona senator, recently didn't support this legislation that essentially provides more
Yep.
legal protections for unions, makes it easier for people to unionize.
Yeah.
Suddenly he's supported it as his name starts getting floated. Is doing that enough to assuage your concerns about him?
Not really, because look, I mean, look, when the PRO Act was out there, when it was being discussed and debated, I mean, people showed where they were when they voted on it, and that's what we look at, and so that was a concern of ours. You know, so obviously that's a problem area for us.
I mean, if Shapiro or Kelly are the guy, does it make it harder for you to convince union members to go out and knock on doors and to vote for Harris?
I don't think it makes it, you know, impossible or harder. I mean, obviously, there's just candidates we think are better for labor. And ultimately, look, we know this. Kamala Harris is for labor. She's for working class people. You know, this election is about, you know, we saw this in our contract campaign for the Big Three. I mean, 75% of Americans supported us in our strike because they're all, union or not, they're all living the same thing in this country. The wages have been suppressed. We don't have adequate health care. People want retirement security, and they want their lives back. They don't want to have to work 7 days a week or 2 and 3 jobs. Kamala Harris gets that. And if you look at the comment you guys played by former President Trump a little bit ago about talking about the governor from Georgia saying he was very disloyal, that's the difference in what this election's about. Trump expects people to pledge loyalty to him. It's all about him. Kamala Harris is about the people, and that's what this election's about, and that's why I believe the people will vote for Kamala Harris.
Real quick, do you think J.D. Vance and himself calling himself the most labor-friendly senator in Congress helps Republicans at all with the organized labor union?
I think that's a complete joke. J.D. Vance is a fraud. He is not for working class people. I mean, let's be real. He talks about his hillbilly roots. Look, I got hillbilly roots. One lesson my parents and grandparents taught us growing up is you don't forget where you come from. I don't work for venture capitalists. I work for working class people. He went to work as a venture capitalist, you know, which goes in and destroys communities, destroys businesses, ruins people's lives. That's not someone that stands for working class people.
All right. Shawn Fain is president of United Auto Workers. We thank you for joining us this Sunday.